Hello. Today's story is quite an amazing one. It's about, or it's written, some of it, by someone called Isaiah. Now, you remember God had chosen a special people to be a blessing to the world, to share his good news of a rescue plan with the world. They were called Israel. Well, quite a few years after David was the king, in fact lots and lots of years, the country of Israel got into a bit of a mess. You see, people weren't still coming to God and praying to him and believing in God. They made up other gods and they got into a right old pickle. And what eventually happened was rather sad, because some armies from other lands came and they took over Israel and they broke up Jerusalem and they smashed up the temple, which was the special place where people met with God. And they took lots of people away to their own lands as slaves. So God's chosen family were taken away from their land and made back into slaves, just like back when they were in Egypt and slaves. Although this was 1,000 years later. And during that time, God chose some special people who he called prophets, who he spoke words into their heads and their hearts, and they shared those words with the people. And they shared words of hope, as well as words of a bit like being told off by God. But they were words to encourage people to turn back to God and to pray to God. Now this one from Isaiah is really special because it's Isaiah telling the story of someone who's going to come. And that person is Jesus. But it was written hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus actually came to the earth. So it's pretty exciting. It's on page 144 and it's called Operation No More Tears. Do you know what your name means? Well, there was once a man called Isaiah, and his name meant God to the rescue. That might sound a bit of a funny name to you, but it was just the right name for Isaiah, because God had a special job for Isaiah. You see, Isaiah's job was to listen to God and tell people what he heard. Now, God let Isaiah know a secret. God was going to mend his broken world. He showed Isaiah his secret rescue plan, Operation No More Tears. This is the message God gave to Isaiah. It was like a letter God wrote to his children. Dear little flock, you're all wandering away from me, like sheep in an open field. You have always been running away from me, and now you're lost. You can't find your way back. But I can't stop loving you. I will come to find you, so I am sending you a shepherd to look after you and love you, to carry you home to me. You've been stumbling around like people in a dark room, but into the darkness a bright light will shine. It will chase away all the shadows like sunshine. A little baby will be born, a royal son. His mummy will be a young girl who doesn't have a husband. His name will be Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us. He is one of King David's children's children's children. The Prince of Peace. Yes, someone is going to come and rescue you, but he won't be who anyone expects. He will be a king, but he won't live in a palace, and he won't have lots of money. He will be poor, and he will be a servant. But this king will heal the whole world. He will be a hero. He will fight for his people and rescue them from their enemies. But he won't have big armies, and he won't fight with swords. He will make the blind see. He will make the lame leap like deer. He will make everything the way it was meant to be. But people will hate him, and they won't listen to him. He will be like a lamb. He will suffer and die. It's the secret rescue plan we made from before the beginning of the world. It's the only way to get you back. But he won't stay dead. I will make him come alive again. And one day, when he comes back to rule forever, the mountains and the trees will dance and sing for joy. The earth will shout out loud. His fame will fill the whole earth as the waters cover the sea. Everything sad will come untrue. Even death is going to die. And he will wipe away every tear from every eye. Yes, the rescuer will come. Look for him. Watch for him. Wait for him. He will come. I promise. Love God. Poor Isaiah. He read God's letter over and over to God's people. But no one listened to him at all. Ever. They didn't believe it. They didn't want to hear God's promise. Did it sound maybe too good to be true? A story that ends happily ever after? Well, it does sound like a fairy tale, doesn't it? And as anyone will quickly tell you, fairy tales aren't true. Or are they? It's pretty cool. It's talking about Jesus, hundreds of years before Jesus actually came to the earth. Very exciting. God bless.